Hello, my name is Tony Daniels, and today I will be walking you through my Active Citizen project. Hello everyone, today we are going to be going through our Active Citizen project for 12th grade civics. First, I want to start off with defining what your objective is and our learning goals will be for this particular project. So our objective for this project is to strive to become vigilant, informed citizens who actively participate in the preservation and the improvement of the American government through community service and service learning. The purpose of this project will be focusing more on the service learning with a little bit of community service in the way of how can you improve your community is what you'll be looking at. So you will know by the end what are the levels of government within your county, state, and federal government. You will be understanding how to actively participate as a U.S. citizen/state citizen, and that you will also understand the process of how the needs of citizens are heard and met. Your tasks that will be completed during this project are step 1. You will be in small groups and you will need to identify either a community, county, state, or federal issue that you feel very passionate about. This is something as a group you will come up with. To give you some examples, maybe as a community, you are hurt to see that there's not enough activities for teenagers to participate in. Or something as simple as there's too many potholes on my road. How can we fix this problem? Step 2, as a group, you will need to gather research and statistics on your issue that your group has chosen. The research should help define the problem and demonstrate that there is something that needs to be solved. So there has to be a problem and you have to have some type of solution. Step 3. After that, you need to start working on that potential solution to the problem. You should identify 2 or 3 potential public policy solutions. Do not confuse public enterprise or charity with public policy. I know a lot of times we think of, well, we can get donations from our local church or our local businesses. That can help to supplement the problem. We don't have enough money to fix this. That is not the same thing. Public policy, we're going through the channels of your city council, your county commissioners, your state legislature, or your federal U.S. Congress. This is what we are looking for, okay? You should do some research on existing solutions that have been proposed, as well as brainstorming solutions that haven't been tried. It's also okay to not just look within the United States. Maybe another country has had this issue. What have they tried to do to fix this issue? Were they successful, or was any aspect of their solution successful? Maybe you can tinker with it a little bit to improve upon it. Once you've narrowed down things to 2 or 3 solutions, you should do some research on them. This is where I'm talking about figuring out, has anyone tried these before? Is there proof that they were effective, or were they horrible? You should just stay away from them. What should you do about that? Also see, what do people think about them? Remember, when it comes to public policy, you have to have the support of the citizens. What are the pros and cons? You may not ever find a perfect solution, but maybe the pros outweigh the cons. It's something you need to look into. Has a legislator introduced this solution? Has this been something that's currently maybe going through the process? It hasn't yet made it all the way through, but it's started. If there is someone in your community or legislator or state or federal level that has started to introduce a solution, maybe you can try to interview them, get their perspective on it, or maybe it's something that they have talked about, that they promised, one of their campaign promises, that they were going to fix this problem within the community or state or federal level, and then you can go and talk to them. Now, I realize you may not always get a response back. It is a possibility, but you can reach out to them. You can tell them why you are need to speak with them. You can write them a letter. You can call their office. You can email them. Any of this may work. The important thing is you need to try and to reach out to them, okay? Your next task, step 4, is once the group has thoroughly researched the potential solution to the problem, you need to pick just one. You may not find that perfect solution, but you have to agree on just one that you can support and you can advocate for. This is kind of the challenge of public policy. You're never going to make everybody happy. Never going to happen. It's not going to work. But you can try to find a way to make an imperfect solution that maybe helps with the problematic solution, okay? Next, you want to develop an action plan. Determine how to advocate for your chosen solution. This is where knowledge of the political and policy process become important. You need to figure out who are the stakeholders with the power to address the issue and what levers can citizens pull to motivate them. Stakeholders are those people who have the power, okay? I want you to understand that. Is that your city councilman? Is that your mayor? Is that your senator? Is that your House of Representatives? Who is the person who actually has the authority to help with this problem? You need to figure out who they are. And then as citizens, this is the role, how we see in our government. Citizens are the ones where they get their ideas from. Remember that our representatives work for us. That's why they are called representatives. They represent the will of the people, the wants of the people, the needs of the people. So you need to show them, why is this something that needs to be done, okay? This could be as simple as letter writing to a campaign, speeches at the Board of Education to let you know what the public wants to see happen in the education. This can be social media activism. You guys live in a world of social media. Maybe you can come there. This can be where you're taking polls or you can get signatures, a protest, something like that. What could actually be done to help to motivate change, okay? But this should all be laid out in some sort of detail how they can motivate the stakeholders to act. Once you have developed your problem, a solution, researched, figured out who can help with solving this problem, you're going to put all of this information into a presentation. This needs to be a visual presentation that we can all see here, okay? You'll be sharing it actively live during class. So what we're going to be looking for in this rubric right here is what you'll be using to help you to create your visual presentation. You're going to first be making sure you're identifying that issue. Is it a community level? Is it state level? Is it federal? Where does it go? Next, you have to identify a solution to the problem. Then you have to have that you have made a case for your solution and supporting that solution. Then you have to have an action plan that needs to be available. What are we going to do? How are we going to solve this problem? And then, of course, the presentation. This needs to be a display of all this information together. And yes, every member of the group does need to be present in the presentation during a live class. Okay? Now for this particular project, groups will be assigned to you and each group member will be given a role. So that way every person has something that they are doing within the group. There are many tasks that you do together as a group, such as brainstorming and collectively thinking out loud and getting some things together with your solutions. There are also individual roles that will be taken on within the group as well. There will be a researcher, interviewer, and recorder. Now, because of the class size, we will have kind of double of a couple of those, all right? So we're going to have researchers. At least 2 members will be conducting research on the problem that your group has chosen. Your research will consist of the current policy, if there is any current policy for your issue, as well as why there is a need for change on this issue. Your interviewers, you'll have at least 2 members of the group who will be interviewers. As the interviewer, you will be responsible for interviewing citizens of the community, your friends, your family, your community members, as well as public officials. Any of those will be can be asked some questions. You may want to ask them, why do you think we need this change? Do you think this is even a problem? That could be one thing that you may not even realize, that within the community, maybe you think it's a problem, but does anyone else? If you're not going to have enough support for the problem, you may not be able to go very far. So you need to make sure others agree with you. That's why I'm saying family, friends, community members, as well as the public officials. And then your recorder, your responsibility will be to record the development of the visual project, okay? This doesn't mean that you're doing the presentation on your own. You're just kind of organizing everything together into a PowerPoint, Keynote, Google Slides, Prezi, whichever that you prefer to use. Any of those will be acceptable, but you will be working as a group to give the recorder the information needed, okay? And then finally, this is our group breakdown. This is where each and every one of you will be in, what your group is. I try to make it as fair as possible. We do have a couple groups that have 6 members. The rest of you have 5 members. If you guys need any assistance with picking what responsibility you think you should do, or you have any questions on what actually a recorder does, or an interviewer does, or a researcher does, please do not hesitate to ask. Or if you need clarification on any steps of this project, make sure that you are asking along the way, okay? And of course, I'll be coming around to each group to kind of make sure that you know where you're going and kind of get you started. Also, I am providing with you guys a few resources, some websites that could be beneficial to you along the way. And of course, you're not limited to using just these resources, but these are just a few that I thought may start you out. Since we are in St. Albans here, I gave you the St. Albans City Council, I gave you the West Virginia Legislature, I gave you the U.S. House of Representatives, U.S. Senate, the West Virginia Department of Transportation, the West Virginia Department of Education, the Kanawha County website. Like I said, you're not limited to these resources, but of course, these are some good starting points. And of course, if you run into problems, you're like, we have this issue, but we don't know where to look, we don't know who to contact, ask me. I'll be more than happy to send you in the right direction. But remember, Google is your friend. Just be cautious of what resources you're using, especially on the internet. Look for those .orgs, .edus, .govs. If you're questioning the information you're finding from a website, you can ask me about it, and you also double check the information. Remember, do not just use one site. You can go to a couple to look into to figure it out. Now, along the way, what I will be doing with you guys is we're going to have multiple check-in points after I send you guys out to work in groups together here. We're going to have multiple check-in points so that I can see where you're at, what stage of the project that you're at. I can see what each individual person is doing. I'll be having you send me in some documents. I'll even be having you add me into your presentation so that I can see while you guys are live working. So depending on which one you choose, PowerPoint, Google Slides, or Prezi, I'll show you how to add me into it so that way that I can see where you guys are at. You will be working in individual kind of groupings. And of course, I'll be monitoring you guys, having check-ins, talking with you one-on-one, asking you some questions as we're going around, just seeing where everybody's at, make sure you're on the same page. It's okay if you don't know something, if you need assistance, if you want some clarification, just ask. That's what I'm here for. You can always email me too if we're not live in class and you just want to, get an instant response. Email me. I'll get back to you with that as well. You can always save down some notes or questions you may have. You want to wait until we get back together, and that works as well. So before I release you guys into your groups to begin brainstorming, I just want to see, does anyone have any questions? Now, of course, this is where I would end the teacher-led portion, and I would open the floor up for discussion with the students. I would take any questions that they may have. Typically, this is sometimes even where I see the students will ask, well, what if, and want some examples. And of course, I would try to provide as many examples for clarification as possible for them to understand what I'm truly asking for. And then, of course, sometimes they just want some reassurance. They may be like, well, does this qualify as an issue, or is this a good issue? And sometimes I'll be like, well, tell me what you're thinking. And then we'll kind of brainstorm or spitfire back and forth, what they're thinking, what they're feeling, and then we'll kind of go from there. After I've released the students onto their own project, of course, but first I want to kind of discuss why I did the different groupings that I did. So I grouped the students on proficiency levels. Peer grouping is one of my teacher strategies that I use constantly. I feel like it really does help by putting students of different strengths working together to help one another so that they can kind of feed off one another. That's also why I wanted to give more than one person as the interviewer, more than one person as the researcher. I thought they could work together and help one another and kind of pull each other up together, so that works. I've done the scaffolding with the steps. I've tried to break it down as many steps as possible and be very detailed in those steps. And also, I'm going to be doing that progress monitoring along each one of those steps. That's why I think it's so important whenever we do larger projects that have a lot of tasks into them to give multiple steps so that they can see, okay, this is what I need to do first, this is what I need to do second, and so forth. So after each step, I will be making sure I'm checking in with the groups and individual students to make sure, okay, what have we completed on this step? What do you still need? What do you not understand? Or what did you get out of it? Maybe they want to share something. Maybe they found something they want to share with the rest of the class, and that'll be something that I do with as well. And then to ensure, because of the groupings, I did do it based on differentiated instruction here to make sure that everybody's kind of put together with some extra strength and assistance through peer monitoring and peer grouping. For those students, because this is a civics class, we're not doing any math or anything. Reading comprehension was the biggest thing that we would see the issue with our students with IEPs. So for the reading comprehension, when it comes with Jaden, Sarah, and Luther, because this is a technology, the text-to-reading technology that is available through Google and Apple devices, I would assume that we would probably be using one of those devices, is excellent to take anything. Maybe they're struggling with reading it. They can just simply click onto that. It'll take the text and turn it into reading so that they can hear it. They can always come to me for extra support in that area as well. I can even maybe refer them to a shortened version of the text for them to be able to understand it a little bit better. And then the last thing I want to address here is to engage to ensure that engagement is happening constantly throughout this lesson. I would be using those progress monitoring, constantly checking in on group sessions, having students send in their progress, having students show me their documents, show me their work, show me where they are at. It's going to be constant communication between me and the students. That's the best way to make sure engagement is happening. If I just sent them along their way and never checked in, maybe one person ends up doing everything. That's why I want to make sure who is doing what. I want to make sure each person has an assigned task. I'm going to know who is assigned that task to. That is something they're going to tell me. I'll make note of it. I will know who each person in the group is doing what. So that way I can, whenever I speak with them, I will be able to speak to them about their particular assignment in the project. And I believe that is everything at the end of this assignment. This project is something that I've done previously with my students, and it's worked really well. And it is a little different to do it online, but I have done it online as well before. It's just a little bit more monitoring and a little bit more communication to make sure that it is successful. But I believe overall this would be a wonderful virtual lesson that could be very well done within the students. And I think that it not only gives them a chance to kind of research their government and information that way, but also gives them a chance to show them as a citizen how can they make changes, how can they help, how can they learn, how can they be an active citizen. Thank you, and that is the end of my lesson.